Hello, everyone. My name is Bryce Reynolds. This is for U.S. History since 1865, Module 2.3 about World War II. For my discussion topic, I chose to talk about how economic issues before the war quickly turned into social change that led people to support the war and support joining the war efforts. Being an economics major, I think it's important to look into how economic disparity and like money issues, if you will, just makes people angry, just makes them upset, and they don't blame it on themselves. So often find a scapegoat, which we'll talk about later, or they'll just get angry and they'll blame other people, which is essentially a scapegoat. If I'm looking over this way, it's because I have a script over here. Sorry about that. So just kind of diving right into it. In the early 1920s, the entire global economy was super interconnected. I like to think of it like a spider web. So you have all these little countries just like laid out on a map, and the U.S. is kind of the spider in the center assembling everything. So they have all these foreign loans branching out to all these countries, but the U.S. is really in the center supporting all of it. They were based on loans from the U.S. And this is because after World War I, when everything was kind of a mess, the U.S. kind of stepped in and played the global cop or the global banker, if you will, and said, hey, we'll support you because we think it'll benefit us in the long term. The issue with this is that once that spider dies or has to leave for whatever reason, I'm not sure where that was going, everything can quickly fall apart and kind of start to falter. So with the U.S. 1929 stock market crash, this is pretty much what happened. So the U.S. economy crashed, all these loans defaulted. You said, hey, we owe you money, but we can't pay you anymore. Sorry about that. And everything just kind of hit the fan. Since they weren't able to fund these loans, global economies crashed and unemployment skyrocketed. I don't remember the exact figure, but it went up huge amounts of percent all across the globe. Unemployment is especially hard on an economy, and it's especially hard on its people. If you don't have a job, you can't pay the bills. More importantly, you can't sustain your life that you had before then. When people are struggling to stay above water, like maintain their lifestyle, they'll do what it takes to get that back and get that some change. This is the first reason for social unrest across Europe. People were mad that, hey, my quality of life went down, and I need to find somebody to blame for it. I need to be angry about it because, the second reason that ignited social displeasure was a lot of scapegoating and just improper blaming of issues. So I'm going to talk about two different countries here, and then I'll kind of link them together. In Italy, after the war, inflation was just rampant, just skyrocketing, and Italian workers, primarily agriculture, were struggling to receive funding, buy materials, pay their bills, etc. Instead of understanding that their economic disparity was partially caused by the Great War that happened less than 10 years ago, they said, hey, the Treaty of Versailles and the Allied powers, they aren't fair to us. It's their fault that our economy is kind of in shambles. It's definitely not our leaders or the giant war that just happened's fault. So they blamed the Treaty of Versailles, they blamed the Allied powers, and this was really a movement pushed by a man named Benito Mussolini. He kind of ignited these people to say, hey, let's blame those people instead of understanding that maybe we can try to fix this on our own. He was able to capitalize on the newfound unhappiness of these people and was able to convert a fascist state within Italy. While it is sometimes said that historic mistakes don't complete themselves or don't repeat themselves, that's kind of one of the things that I think it's important to study history is to not repeat your mistakes. Just wait till you hear about Germany less than 10 years later. So pushing blame to the same places, Adolf Hitler was quickly able to gain public support and encourage Allied hatred. He said very similar things to what Mussolini said. He said, hey, not our fault. Let's blame these people. They're easy to blame. Let's put it on them. And with that, the Nazi Party was born. Not soon after. One additional common theme in the two countries is that the two men, they made people angry and they made people support them. And they quickly got essentially like a dictator, absolute power within the country. They got to make all the rules very quickly within a number of years, all because they spurred people to hate and blame other places. Once in power, Hitler turned the blame for their economic issues from the Allied powers to the Jewish people. This is what I was talking before, this idea of scapegoating and blaming it on other people, and socially disabling laws were enacted against the Jewish people, which I would consider things like not being able to vote, not considered a full citizen, things that we've seen throughout history that aren't at the Holocaust level yet, but they're definitely pushing people further and further below, and allows people to blame them for issues. Additionally, the public supported this because it's what Hitler said. It's someone to blame. It wasn't us that caused anything. We must have pushed it out on them. That's just those two countries that I had, and you have very similar themes between them. And then I just come like a general topic that I want to talk about now. So money has always caused divides to grow between people. I know this isn't from the book, but I remember this statistic, and I think it's really relevant to this. When you have divorce cases, like between people that are married, 35% of them, they say money issues and as like a friction between the two people in the marriage. I just think it's interesting to understand how money isn't always something you can control, but they'll oftentimes blame the other person for not being better at managing it. Financial issues are quickly turned into social issues due to a shift of blame. That's essentially what I wanted to get out of here. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you have a good night.